Welcome back to KTN Friday Briefing. Let me now bring in our guest anchor, the champion, 2008 Olympic 800-meter gold medalist, Wilfred Bungei. Great to see you in studio.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thanks for having me here today.
You look a bit different. Now you look very relaxed.
Well, I want to say this, after being in the field for athletics especially for more than 10 years,
Yes.
and then you take a break, it feels more relaxed because when you are there, we are always on the first lane and
Training.
therefore, 365 days, of a lot of training because basically, as an athlete, you don't have actually, I would say, the life that most Kenyans have. For example, the social life part of it, whereby you can be able to do 1, 2, 3 things. But as an athlete, it's always very tough, and you're always on first lane.
Always on the first lane. I like that. So the thing is, when we get to watch, the athletes, crossing the line, I mean, how does it feel? You've been there, you've crossed that line, you probably looked this side and you look this side, then you're like, I'm actually the one who's won this. How does it feel? Is it like an adrenaline rush that makes you even want to go even faster?
Well,
explain to us that.
Yeah, exactly. Let me say this, that, as an athlete, there's so many factors that you have to consider because, for example, when you're preparing a race, it takes so many days, that you are training. And when you are going to competition, actually, competition is the easiest part of it because it depends on what you have done in terms of your training.
Yes.
And that's why you find that the athletes when they finish the race, it's just like they have given all. There's nothing.
Given it their all.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing that remains, and that's why I say that. The bigger part of it is about training. It is not about the competition. Because the competition is the most easiest thing that you can do as well.
But is there like an adrenaline rush once you get to the crossing line? Once you cross that line, I mean, what do you feel? Is it like a sense of happiness, joy? We've seen from Rudisha, everyone, the Bolt. I mean, how is it?
Look, Betty, let me say this. The adrenaline. Basically, comes at the time before the race. Let me tell you, from the period that you are in the warm-up area, that is the time that it is only between you and, I would say, your God.
Yes, yes.
And that is the time that you find most athletes, they need total concentration. And once you run, there's no more adrenaline. I can tell you that. The only thing that comes is the joy, especially if you have been able to win the race.
To win and especially a gold medal.
Well, especially, maybe if I may talk about myself. It took me more than 10 years.
10 years?
Yeah, exactly, of hard work, daily training, massage, advice by the coach, and so many things. Because those who are watching Wilfred Bungei, for example, the 2004, I was the favorite to win.
Wow. Okay.
But, come 2008, it was the most difficult time for me because I had the poorest time that I ran. But at the end of the day, I had prepared psychologically.
Okay.
So it's... When you are going to a competition, and every athlete has to be prepared psychologically, and they have to have a plan of how they are going to compete.
And even after, what happens if you win, what happens if you don't win?
Look, always there's a disappointment when it comes to maybe you expect to win. For example, when I say that when you are the favorite, and mostly, those athletes are really affected in a very negative way because they know that people out there, they are watching them. Everybody is expecting them to perform, but then you get disappointed. But at the same time, what you should be able to console yourself is there is always tomorrow.
Yes, there's tomorrow.
Yeah, there's always tomorrow.
There's another race.
Absolutely. You should not rejoice. It's the same thing. When you win, because, for example, myself, I remember some time back, I used to say, if ever I win one competition and I make $10,000, I'll close the season and go home. But when that happened, Betty, interestingly, I did not come home, but at least...
You wanted more.
Absolutely.
All right. And so now you've actually retired. How is that? I mean, do you miss it? Do you miss being on the track?
Can I tell you what? I don't miss running at all.
Really?
I think for me, after working for so many years, and especially getting the Olympic medal, it was all that I needed. And I've always said this, that winning Olympics is just like winning an Emmy award, for the movie stars. And therefore, Olympics is the topest. So there was nothing that I still wanted to do myself.
Okay, so that's
and that is why I felt that it was enough.
It was
of
enough.
course, people expected that I still needed to maybe still run more years.
Yes.
But on my part, I realized, no, there is no more energy, there is no more motivation. Besides, if I decided to run in 2012, for example, did I had a chance with Rhodesia the way he was running? Absolutely not.
I get it.
Yeah.
And I mean, we are so used to seeing the glory moment, that moment when, you cross that line and you've won. But then, I mean, especially for you, there's a personal struggle that you had. Tell us about that.
Well, thank you for saying this, and this is not only with athletes, but I want to say this, that, we have footballers, I would say movie stars as well, whereby you have, as I told you, when you're an athlete that is disciplined, meaning, you don't have social life for 365 days in a year.
Yes.
When you finish your race, your life becomes empty.
Yes,
and this was me in 2010, 2011. I didn't have much as I had engagement here and there. For example, talking and having some engagements, it wasn't enough.
Yes.
There was emptiness, and it took me to a position, Betty, that I tell you, I was drinking a lot of alcohol.
Drinking a lot of alcohol.
Yes,
okay.
I was drinking a lot of alcohol. I became what you call a binge drinker. I would drink for 7 days, go out for, let's say, maybe a month, 2 months without drinking. But the moment I hit the bottle, it became bad. Until 2012 is when I realized my way of drinking was not good for me.
It was dangerous.
Yeah, it was very dangerous. I went into treatment for 6 weeks.
Would you have considered yourself an alcoholic,
Absolutely.
to speak?
Look, I am an alcoholic as I spoke to you. I remain an alcoholic. The reason why I say I remain an alcoholic is so that tomorrow I can never touch alcohol. I can tell you that I have 2.5 years of no drinking. I don't even eat meat that is cooked with alcohol.
Wow.
That is me. I don't even use perfume that I use alcohol. That is me. But for me, I came out very strongly on this because we have so many sportsmen and women in this country that they are already in a bad state, and
struggling with alcohol.
Absolutely, yes. And that's why personally I've come out and I say, hey guys, you know what, you can find yourself in this situation, but you can still come out. But the most important thing, and I've always said this, sports federations should have ways that they can prepare these athletes as they exceed the action. They have something that they are doing, because the emptiness of a life is what always, as we always say, empty. What is the devil's workship? Empty mind is the devil's workship.
Yeah, yes.
So, and that is why majority of us should already know what they want in their, what they are able to do in their lives after the athletics.
All right. So we'll be getting to know Wilfred a little bit more, and of course what he's doing and the positive things he's doing for young athletes. But for now, I want to invite you to the news desk so that you can get to experience what we usually do here on KTN Friday Briefing.
Wow, I'll be happy.
It's a shame I can't come to the track. I wouldn't run in my heels.
Yeah, sure.
But of course, let me invite you to experience